When's the last time you took a backup of your business data? How confident are you that your last backup was successful? Fil Strati from TechSeek says few of the business owners they come across can say with complete confidence whether their last backup was successful or not, and many business owners are not given enough training or information when it comes to their backup processes. In this episode of Better Business for Good TV, Phil explains what's the difference between cloud backup and cloud storage, why it's important to back up to an external device as opposed to locally, and the questions you should be asking your IT support provider about your backup processes.
Better Business for Good TV. By small business owners, for small business owners.
This whole backing up thing, which you've been talking about a lot lately, first of all, in your experience, what percentage of businesses, other than your own clients, obviously, do understand backing up and are doing it effectively?
Look, a very low percentage, I would say, given the amount of audits that we do when we go and visit new clients. Generally, when we ask them if they've done backup, they kind of had this clueless look on their face in regards to it. Either it's been set up in the past and they don't know how to check whether it's working or what's being backed up or what time it's being backed up. There's no information from that previous tech provider. There's kind of a set and forget sort of culture with backup, or what's happening is they don't really think about it until they lose all their data and then they put one in place. So if it hasn't happened to them yet, chances are they probably don't have any backup in place at all.
At all. And given that there's all this cloud storage stuff out there, I suspect that quite a lot of businesses might be thinking, oh, I don't need to worry about backup now. So who should actually be doing this backup thing, and what are some of the nasties?
So we recommend that customers have both cloud and external storage. I think there's this misconception that if I put it in the cloud, it's all safe and whatnot. But what tends to happen is some of those cloud programs may not have version control. So say, for example, you click on an email, you get a ransomware infection where all your files get encrypted, and then you get asked for ransom money to be able to unencrypt them. Those encrypted files may be backed up to the cloud as well. So what happens is they start to try and restore files and they can no longer get access to them because those files are also encrypted. So I usually tell people, back up to an external hard drive as well, disconnect that drive after you finish doing the backup and move it somewhere else. That way, if anything happens to the computer or to the cloud backup, or your internet's down or you can't get back on that account, you have something sitting on the shelf that's clean, and that we can restore once I've come in and removed that malware or ransomware or whatever it is that's crashed the computer. And
how often should you be doing that?
So look, I tell people to look at how many days they can live without their data. So, if it's someone that says, I can't afford to lose, a day's work, you're backing up every night. And the thing is that backups these days, they've gotten to a point where the initial backup is long, but then it only backs up what's new. So the subsequent backups are really quick. So it should be part of your routine that you just keep doing it.
So really best practice is either a daily if it's mission critical, or
That's
perhaps
right.
The most, would it be weekly or?
Yeah, I wouldn't go longer than weekly.
Not for anybody. Yeah.
No.
And does that, how do you deal with all of these cloud systems we have, like Xero and CRMs and all of that kind of stuff? How does that fit into the backup picture?
The good thing with those systems is that they have their own infrastructure and they're backing up their own stuff and they have their own duplications and mirroring and whatnot. So they're okay in terms of that. But the issue is being that there are other systems like, if you don't have Office 365, if you've got emails stored locally, they need to be backed up. Your web hosting can get hacked, your website can go down, and if those emails are stored on that same server, they can go down as well. So there's a lot of things that you and the same as with your Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, they're all cloud storage, they're not cloud backup. So they're there to collaborate with staff, but the problem is that a staff member can accidentally delete or corrupt a file, or you can get that ransomware infection that can jump across to those files, and a copy of that ransomware can move across to everyone else. Now they do claim to have some version control, but as a precaution, again, I say to people, that's great, you've got Dropbox, that's great, you've got everything in the cloud. Let's do an external backup to a hard drive and put it away just in case something like this happens.
Right. So, and I think that's probably really covered the difference, that the couple of questions you had here about the difference between cloud backup and cloud storage,
Yeah.
and the difference between backing up to an external device versus locally.
Well, the thing in terms of external versus locally is a lot of people used to put an extra hard drive in the computer and then back up their data onto that. Now, my concern with that is that, you know, let's say you have a really bad power surge and you blow the actual drives, then you've got no backup. So I still like something to be externally connected. The other thing I guess we want to stress with people as well is people have a small hard drive to begin with internally. They buy a little Mac or a laptop and it's got really poor space, and they'll say, that's okay, I'm going to plug in my external hard drive and put everything on there. And then what happens is those drives can sometimes die. So then you're paying thousands of dollars to extract that data because of mechanical failure. So we always say, keep 2 copies, one on the computer, one on the external hard drive. If your computer doesn't have enough space, upgrade that space so that you still retain a copy on the computer and on the external hard drive. And again, disconnect the drive, leave it elsewhere, don't keep it connected.
And I was going to say, really elsewhere, in case you have a fire or whatever, would be really sensible, wouldn't it?
That's right. I mean, having the cloud can help, because the cloud, you can use the cloud saying, okay, it's in the cloud if there's a fire, but it's also on the external hard drive in the office. Or people will go, I want to do another backup once a month where I just take that to my home. You can do as many backups as you want, as long as we make it easy enough so that you can follow the process regularly. Otherwise, you don't want to do it, because the idea of going, oh, what have I actually got to back up? What have I done? What haven't I done? It's too daunting and people just park it. So we try and do it in a way where it's automated. But the other thing as well to stress is that a lot of clients will say, can you just set it so it'll just do it on its own? That works fine for cloud backup and when the computer is on. But if you've got a laptop or something, it's never going to get done. So we try to get people to manually start and stop the backup at a certain point in the day, so that they know they're actually doing it and they can actually cite that it's been completed.
Because otherwise, you sort of, if it's completely set and forget, then you don't know that it worked.
It's remember when I've lost my data, call a technician and stress out, I hope I can get it back. And then I go, these haven't been working, or your storage has been full, or you've not been connecting the drive, or the hard drive's actually not turning on. So we don't want to find that out after, and that's what tends to happen. So we always go in and do the audits. We say, when did you do your last backup? Where is it being backed up? What's being backed up? What time does it get done? How regular? You know, we need to know all that stuff, because that's more important than everything else that we assess in the business.
So those are the questions you ask them.
Yeah.
What are the questions that small businesses going, oh gosh, I really think I need to do something about this? What should they be asking their IT support provider about their backup process?
They need to be asking, what's the software that I'm using to back up my data? Where is the data being backed up to? Is it in cloud? Is it on external hard drive? How often is it being backed up? And you want to be able to have them review with you specifically what is being backed up. Because sometimes the technician will assume what you need backed up, but you may have something in a different file. Like, for example, you're using an offline version of MyOb. People by default put it in the MyOb folder, but someone else has it. I've had customers that just dump it in the C drive under a different name because they like to go to the C drive because it's quicker, whatever the reason is, and you miss that file. So I always go with the customers, what's this file? Does it need to be included in the backup? Or they have several user accounts, one that's not always used, but there's data in there that they need. So there's a few of these things that you really have to sit with the technician and say, I need to know what exactly is being backed up. So that, and the easiest way to do this is I say to them, look, if you were to come in today and nothing worked, what would you need access to? And work your way backwards from there.
In fact, run it over the course of a month. If you were to come in today, because most things happen cyclically in a month,
yeah,
and then even making it perhaps part of your quarterly planning process and your annual planning process.
Well, that's the best way to form a disaster recovery plan, because you go, okay, I'm going to come in and I've got nothing. Okay, well, my accounts are with zero. Cool. So I need the username and password for zero. My emails are located on the server because they're with Office 365, but my computer's down. What's my Office 365 credentials? Because sometimes they get typed in and that's it. People forget what they are. They don't write them down. Okay, my computer's down. Do I have any CDs or software? Do I have license keys? Do I have passwords for those online subscriptions? You need to have all of this put away somewhere so that when the tech comes out, it's not a mad shuffle around trying to find stuff and call people and reset passwords. it's a lot of downtime that you can avoid if you just plan this sort of stuff prior to it happening. If you're in the inner northern and western suburbs of Melbourne, give us a call. We do offer free audits. We love to come out and find out just how bad your backup system is. So yeah, that's all I've got to add for now.
You have been watching Better Business for Good TV by small business owners for small business owners. Previous episodes can be found in the Better Business Builders Community Resource Library at bb4g.co/community.